So today, guys, I have a legendary build for you where we're actually going to show you the full run while also breaking down the build. Now, one of the pieces might be one of those pieces you won't be able to get, but maybe this holiday season they will bring it back, so most of you guys who weren't able to get it last season might be able to get it this season. And no, it is not the Lexington, it is the Turbo knee pads. But we'll get into the full build breakdown. And if you've been looking for a build that isn't all reds, that has some survivability, but still gets through these legendary missions quick, this one took me about 17 minutes, and I will tell you, we can definitely improve the time because I made so many mistakes. This was literally my second attempt, and I was like, you know what, that is perfectly fine. We completed it. It was actually a pretty clean run, and as you guys are seeing, we are shredding through enemies very, very quick. So I think it's time, let's get into the build and talk about how I have this all set up. So the gameplay will be in the background, and then I will have the build on the right hand side. So for the weapon, we are using the St. Elmo's engine. You can see this one sitting at 1,216 RPM, 134,000 total damage, 70 in the magazine. We do have an additional 30 expertise on this, giving us 30% weapon damage. The rolls are going to be assault rifle, health damage, and then damage to targets out of cover. I really like this weapon because of the talent. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give you 1 stack. At 100 stacks, you get 70 rounds of shock ammo, which definitely makes this weapon one of those weapons that can kind of control the battlefield, but still put out an insane amount of damage. Now, for you experts out there, you probably already noticed the striker stacks at the bottom. I am running a 4-piece striker for the 15% weapon handling for the 2-piece. The 3-piece is going to give us that 15% rate of fire, and the 4-piece striker's gamble. Weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up 100 times. Now, we're actually going to increase this because we are running the chest piece on this build, and we'll get into that in just a second. The rolls on the mask are going to be weapon damage, crit chance, and critical hit chance mod. Now, as I mentioned, I am running the striker chest, and what that's going to do is actually going to buff press the advantage, which increases max stacks from striker's gamble up from 100 to 200. So instead of 100 stacks, I can get up to 200 stacks. Now, on the chest piece, I do have weapon damage, crit damage, and a crit damage mod. Now, I will say the striker chest piece works best in harder difficulties, legendary, master difficulty, maybe even heroic countdown. But whether you have a lot of really tanky enemies and you can keep those stacks up is where you want to run the striker's chest. And if you can't keep the stacks up, that's where a chest or Grupo chest piece with Obliterate is going to shine. For our third piece of strikers, we're running the holster. And on this piece, we have armor and critical hit damage. And for our fourth and final piece of strikers, we have the gloves, and this is going to have armor and critical hit chance. For the knee pads, we have some of the most sought after knee pads in the game, since you can't even farm these. These were actually given as a reward for reaching, I think, 150 in the last event. Also given to players as an April Fool's joke. And well, they have become some of the fan favorites because of how they work. They have a talent called Bewildered. When dealing weapon damage to an enemy, 50% of that damage will be dealt to another enemy within 30 meters instead. When there are no enemies nearby, you deal damage normally. And that's why it works so good on legendary content, where you have enemies that have so much armor, so much health, that you're able to put out more damage on 2 enemies at once. Not only that, it comes on a Cheska piece, which gives you 8% critical hit chance. It also has all reds, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and it always comes fully max rolled. Now, you cannot put any expertise into this. You cannot change any of the rolls on it. It is how it is, but it's perfect because it's on a Cheska piece, all reds. It's probably the rolls you would want, unless you would want to put armor as a core attribute, which you can't do with this piece. Now, we pair up all those pieces with one of my favorite pieces for solo players. Yes, you guys might know, if you guys follow him enough, the Memento backpack. The reason why is because it's the only bag in the game that not only gives you weapon damage, armor, and skill tier, just like the ninja bag, but it has a talent called Kill Confirm that is almost like having 3 talents in one, because you have a short time buff where if you pick up any of those trophies for 10 seconds, depending on how many reds you have on the build, you will get 5% weapon damage. Depending on how many blues you have, you get 10% bonus armor. And depending on how many yellows you have, you get 5% skill efficiency. Not only that, it has a long-term buff. So as you continue to stack these trophies, once you hit max stack, you can have up to 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regen. And that's why it's probably the best bag in the game, especially for solo players. Now, if you're in group play, Getting those trophies might be difficult depending on how much damage your teammates are putting out and if you're not getting kills. But when you're playing solo, I don't think there is a bag that comes close to this. And that's why in a lot of my solo builds, this is the bag I use just because of how well it works and having that extra survivability. It really fits my playstyle, that run and gun mentality where I'm constantly moving, constantly shredding, and just constantly trying to get to the next enemy. That's my playstyle. Go, go, go. And that's why I like the Memento backpack. For my seasonal modifiers, I'm running the Zealot. That's the one I was telling you guys about at the very beginning. This and Sanitation are my two favorite modifiers. We have Rupert's Tear. When you break an enemy's tank's armor, all the other armor pieces are broken. We have Batter Up, which I think is amazing for Legendary. And then we have Stepping Stone, which gives us hollow point ammo and amplifies weapon damage by 20%, while at the same time bleeding the enemy. So definitely an amazing combo you have with those seasonal modifiers and the passive modifiers. I think this makes Legendary feel very, very easy this season. And definitely give a shot at the different seasonal modifiers. You'll be surprised at how many you actually like. So far, my favorite two have been Sanitation and obviously Zealot have been the top two from this season for my playstyle. The great thing about this build is we have 3 blues, 4 reds, and we're sitting about 1.3 million armor. Now, if you really want to, you could actually go with 4 blues and 3 reds, pushing yourself up to that 1.5 million armor. But I feel with the Memento backpack, and since we get so much bonus armor from all these trophies that are laying around, it's almost not needed. That's just my personal opinion. But you guys can actually play with the numbers and see what you like the best. Now, if you do not have the Turmo knee pads, that's where you could just run a regular Cheska holster, a regular Cheska knee pads, whatever you guys want there. You kind of do want the Cheska because that's going to help you get up to that 50 plus crit chance on the build. And that will allow you to land more crits, hit harder. And yes, you won't be hitting 2 enemies at once. But if you play the mission right, yes, you can still do this. So if you do have the Turmo knee pads, give it a shot. Let me know in the comments. If you don't, try it with just the Cheska knee pads instead and let me know what you guys think there. But I think overall, the build is a solid one, especially with the new seasonal modifier. Zealot makes this absolutely amazing. And I'm pretty sure you can run a ton of different builds with these seasonal modifiers on Legendary and do the same exact thing. That's the great thing about the season, being able to play a lot of different builds the way you want to play. But yeah, we literally are flying through this. So I'll leave you with some more gameplay, and at the end you can actually see the time that we finished with. I think it was like 17 minutes and like 6 or 7 seconds. So about 17 minutes to finish this. And again, this was not a perfect run. So I'm 100% sure if you guys made the same build, you could probably kill the time, be in the 14, 15 minute range easy. So I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this run, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Nothing But Skills out.
Immediate medical assistance needed. Immediate medical assistance needed. Vital signs critical. Serious trauma detected. Vital signs critical. Immediate medical assistance needed. Serious trauma detected.
available, Agent.